Hello class, I officially welcome you in this course, Developmental Reading 2. I hope that you learn a lot from this, for it will be really significant in your future teaching, wherein you'll be the one responsible for the foundation of education of your learners. In this course class, the theories of learning and ideas and concepts of early literacy development will help you operate in your classroom and improve early literacy education. Good luck sa inyo, and of course, good luck din sa akin sa pagtuturo ko sa inyo. Alright? So without further ado, our first lesson is entitled Theories of Learning and Early Literacy. Alright, so our learning objectives, there are 5 class. The first one, define emergent literacy. Second, explain the importance of home literacy to early literacy. Third, determine the changes on the views about emergent literacy. Fourth, explain the theories of learning and early literacy. And fifth, identify the theories of reading and writing. Now, before we proceed with the formal discussion, I want you to notice the following images. Okay, here's the first one. So, it's kinda funny class, no? We can see a child holding a book, looking intently at it, as if he can really understand the pictures and or the texts in it. We cannot surely say that the child understands what he is seeing or let's say reading, but one thing is for sure, the child is showing interest in reading. Alright, here's the second one. Okay, children who are writing or scribbling. Alright, so on paper, on a box, on the wall. Okay, so parang experience lang natin class, no, noong mga bata pa tayo. Now, ito yung mga trabaho nila class, right? So they have zigzag lines, no, scribbles, the letters of the alphabet. At some point, it's understandable, although hindi magkasunod-sunod, right? And of course, meron tayong drawing, no? Combination ng drawing, tapos may color pa, and then eto, mga shapes, may circle, parang may heart pa class, no? Sige. And of course, itong house. So, lahat tayo nakagawa ng ganito class noong mga bata pa tayo. Okay? Now, bakit ko ito ipinakita sa inyo? These images class reflect emergent literacy. Yun yung lesson natin ngayon. Now, what is emergent literacy? There are 3 researchers who give its definition. Clay, Teal, and Soulsby. Now, it was Mary Clay in the year 1966 who first used the term emergent literacy. According to her, it is based on an assumption that a child acquires some knowledge about language, reading, and writing even before attending any formal education. She asserted that literacy development begins early in life and is going. So, hindi nagsastop yung literacy class. So long as we are capable of development, then we have the opportunity to become more and more literate. Further, Teal, 1987, described emergent literacy as the early signs of reading and writing demonstrated by young children even before they begin formal instruction to reading and writing, and such early signs and ways are recognized by most adults. Adults, we are talking about parents, we are talking about um, older siblings class, no? So, he viewed literacy as the result of children's involvement in reading activities facilitated by literate adults. Alright, so, itong facilitation na ito class, no? In other words, this is mediation. So, this can be consciously employed by the parents as they prepare their child for formal schooling. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na our first teachers are our parents. Alright? It's not as if na doon na talaga tayo mismo sa eskwelahan natuto kung paano magsulat at paano magbasa. Of course, we were first taught about letters of the alphabet, no? How to write our names, how to draw, etc., etc. Lastly, Soulsby 1991 defined literacy as the reading and writing behaviors of young children that precede and develop into conventional literacy. So, literacy class, early literacy specifically, no, serves as the foundation of the conventional literacy. Alright. Now, to summarize class, meron namang pagkakapare-pareha kasi yung sinasabi nila. Okay? So, the three of them concede that emergent literacy is reading and writing signs shown by children even before they experience formal instruction by the school. These signs are acknowledged and facilitated by adults and eventually resulted to children's ability to put meaning in their experiences or simply to understand their day-to-day experiences. Now, literacy has always been defined by change. So, if there is no change, we cannot say that there is improvement or development. With this, there are transitions on the perspectives of emergent literacy, and they are marked by basic literacy, sociocultural literacy, and functional literacy. Basic literacy emphasizes the reading and writing of young learners to construct meaning for themselves. It denotes how children give meaning to their own writing and reading. Sociocultural literacy, on the other hand, emphasizes the importance of social interaction of children to construct cultural specific meanings and to demonstrate literacy practices as social events and cultural phenomena. The children class learn the culture they're exposed to through interaction, and this culture shapes their understanding of their experiences. Lastly, functional literacy emphasizes the use of technology for instruction and literacy, and the young learner's use of technology to produce meanings. So this refers to instructional materials which support learning. Alright. Now, let's proceed to the concepts on emergent literacy. So, before we proceed class, by the way, there is a disparity between before and now concepts of emergent literacy. And this is the reason why we need to compare, no? Compare and contrast these concepts. Alright. So before class, there is an understanding that early literacy was somewhat neglected. Now, a great deal of attention to literacy development in early childhood. So, little attention given to a child's literacy development before formal schooling. Now, acquisition of information about literacy begins at birth and continues at the course of early childhood. Assume that the beginning of literacy was in grade 1. Development of literacy in child's earliest years. So ngayon class, hindi na pwede na kapag in-enroll ng parents yung bata sa grade 1, hindi pa marunong magsulat or magbasa. No? So it's expected na kapag na-enroll yan sa grade 1, it means na kailangan marunong na talaga. Speaking and listening were learned in early childhood, while reading and writing were learned in school age. Now, simultaneous development of language-related abilities. Reading instruction was ignored in preschool education. Now, there is an emphasis on oral language development and preparation for reading. Before, there was no advocacy for formal reading instruction in early childhood. Now, it capitalizes on child's existing knowledge, information about literacy and reading and writing experiences. Preschoolers were not perceived as readers and writers. Now, children are active constructors of own learning, so they are not just mere recipients of information. Waiting for a child's natural maturation. Now, nurture emergent literacy from birth through kindergarten to grade 1. Preparation for literacy was through the acquisition of a set of prescribed hierarchy of skills. Now, continuous building of knowledge on oral language, reading, and writing. Progression from part to whole, a set of skills is prerequisite to reading. Now, children learn from meaningful and functional situations. So, learning from experiences class. Drills for contrived skills. Now, children are interested and attempt early to communicate in writing. Writing had been certainly missing. Now, reading and writing are cultivated concurrently. So, sabay sila class, simultaneous. Lastly, before, writing develops after reading. Ngayon nga ang sabi, they should be developed concurrently. At this juncture, let's proceed with the child development theories that support early literacy. The first one in the list is Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He emphasized that children's learning unfolds naturally. So, learning through curiosity. Because of this, strategies meshed with the child's readiness to learn, and there should be little adult intervention. This means, class, that children should be given freedom to be themselves, no? So, parents or let's say guardians should not force the children to learn, no? So, they need to perform according to their own volition. Okay, second, Maria Montessori. So, children need early, orderly, systematic training in mastering one skill after another, or what we say, auto-education. So, strategies involve specific concepts meeting specific objectives, learning materials, or self-correcting. Learning during sensitive period, or what we say, critical period. Designing activities and experiences for learning. Okay. Third, we have Jean Dewey. If you can still remember, class, Jean Dewey believes in the saying that experience is the best teacher, no? And because of this, according to him, early childhood learning should be child-centered. It should be built around the interests of the child because the child learns best through play because of social interaction. So, playing should be considered, no? It should be acknowledged that it plays a major role in the child's development. In playing, children learn information and values, and at the same time, skills, specifically social skills. Because of this, strategies should give allowing time for play and learning. So it should provide a relaxed atmosphere and formal activities for learning. So children need to feel comfortable. Environment should support enthusiasm. It should be conducive. Okay. Next, we have John P.J. If you can remember, in our Ed 102 subject, he is the one who proposed cognitive development theory. In this theory, children at certain stages are capable only of certain types of intellectual endeavors. So they acquire knowledge by interacting with the world. And children are active participants in their own learning. Again, they are not just mere receivers of information. They construct their own knowledge, no? They construct their own learning. All right. Because of this, children should be provided real life setting and materials, opportunity to play, explore, and experiment, and allowing them to use their curiosity, inquisitiveness, and spontaneity to help themselves to learn. Next is Friedrich Wilhelm August Froebel. So, there is an emphasis on the adult's responsibility in the education of the child. No, they need to be concerned with the child's natural unfolding. Emphasis on the fullest benefits of playing to learn requires adult guidance and direction and a planned environment. Okay. Next is Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi. Okay? Natural learning with informal instruction. So when you say informal instruction, children should not be pressured. They need to be relaxed. Environment should be conducive. They should learn in a way that they're experiencing fun. No, they're experiencing as if they're normal day-to-day experience or activity. Natural potential of a child develops through senses. So activities should allow them to incorporate these senses. Okay. Lastly, we have Lev Vygotsky. He is the one who proposed sociocultural development theory. According to this theory, mental functions are acquired through social relationship. Learning takes place when the child interacts with peers and adults in a social setting as they act upon the environment. Children learn by internalizing activities conducted in the world around them. More importantly, class, more knowledgeable others, such as older siblings, um, more knowledgeable peers, and parents now play a major role in the child's development. So they are the ones who mediate or facilitate the learning of the child. So through interacting with these more knowledgeable others, children are able to put meaning in their day-to-day experiences. Without further ado, let's proceed to the constructivist model. Okay. Now, class, concrete teaching models have evolved and have been continuously modified to meet the needs of emergent learners and to develop their literacy skills. Speaking of literacy, it is viewed to be changing over time simply because the demands of the society also change, no? So, it has undergone a lot of transitions. Now, all these transitions certainly affect the kind of literacy an emergent learner acquires in the home, since the parents are possessing and demonstrating sophisticated literacy, and that literacy materials readily available in the home and even in the community are determined by the new literacy brought by the information age. No? So, because of the advent of technology, of course, it it influences education, and because of this it is perceived as relevant to be integrated in the teaching learning process. Now, in response to the literacy demands of the 20th century, conducted researches and design programs in literacy have provided specific ways in promoting early literacy. Significantly, one model has been adopted in early literacy instruction, and of course that is the constructivist model. So, class, I know that this is familiar sa inyo because we've been talking about constructivism in your other major subjects. Now, there are many supporters of the constructivist model, and of course one of it is Lev Vygotsky. No? So Vygotsky stressed that knowledge is socially constructed by interacting with others in a variety of experiences. Moreover, social interaction allows emergent learners to construct their own knowledge and view themselves as members of a community of learners as they interact with parents and other literate adults or with peers. Vygotsky also emphasized that young learners must be provided with adult support, like parents, teachers, and other literate adults, to successfully acquire knowledge about literacy, to develop literacy skills, and to complete literacy tasks in varied literacy events. Now, let's not misunderstand what Vygotsky said. No? Ang sabi niya is support. So, basically, we should, as adults, no, as literate adults, we should actually guide them, not actually do tasks for them. Okay, so they need to do the task, no, with our instruction and facilitation. Furthermore, another supporter of the constructivist model is Jean Dewey. So kanina sinabi ko class na ang kang Dewey, no, experience is the best teacher, right? And yes, no, his philosophy in education undergirds constructivist education. So, he said that an educative process must be continuous, provoke change, and emphasize the importance of the participation of the learner in the formation of purposes which direct his activities in the learning process. So, learners should know what the learning objectives or in every lesson that they get themselves to experience, no, because once they are actually oriented about these objectives, they would be maybe no proactive, no, they would be guided, they know exactly what the things that they need to achieve in in the um in the process of completing the lesson. Okay? Of course, no, sabi nga dito, it provokes change. Remember class that if there is change, there is development. And the learners should understand that he needs to be a catalyst, no, a catalyst of his own development. All right. Now, in the discussion of the constructivist model class, no, Ao cited four distinct advantages of it. The first one, literacy instruction embedded in meaningful social contexts. So, meaningful social contexts, it means that learners learn knowledge, skills, and values through experience. Okay, so they are not just reading books, they are not just being taught by teachers and other literate adults. So sila mismo yung nakaka-experience nito, and because of this, it becomes more meaningful. No? Of course, meaningful kasi activities, no, really happen in real life situation. So it's practical, no? Number two, students' exploration of the functions of literacy. They are given the chance to discover their own learning. They are given the chance to uphold their own individuality in undertaking the lesson. Okay? Number three, student-centered. So the activities, no, activities address their interest, no? So basically, the teacher only serves as the facilitator of learning, no? The teacher is not the only source of knowledge inside the classroom. Moreover, individual differences, yun na nga sinabi ko, individual differences are celebrated or acknowledged. Okay? Lastly, recognize different life experiences and cultural schemata in the meaning-making process. So in a constructivist perspective, young learners set their own goals for literacy learning and monitor their own progress in achieving those goals. So setting goals, class, no, it's really important. As early as possible, children should know how to set their own goals. So that, of course, yun na nga, sinabi ko, na they they are guided, no? They are guided and they know exactly the meaning of undertaking the lesson. So they go to school, no? So they acquire knowledge and skills not just for the sake of requirement, but because they really understand the value of it. Okay, now there are many views in reading class. Okay, so ano nga ba, no? Ano nga ba or paano nga ba dinedefine, perceived ang reading? Because reading is actually part of the early literacy skills. Alright, now in the beginning, reading was viewed simply as speech written down. However, of course, dissatisfaction with this view resulted to the decline of an oral approach. So, because of this class, a modern psycholinguistic viewed reading as a complex information processing skills. The reader was an active, planning, decision-making individual who coordinates a number of skills and strategies to facilitate comprehension. So, this is an interactive approach class, no, which emphasized that meaning is derived through interaction of text and reader. So, schema theory also class has something to do with this. No, it recognizes that background knowledge facilitates the reader's comprehension of the text. So, when you say schema class, no, these this refers to our um, prior knowledge about a particular idea and or concept. Okay, so there are actually five, no, five linguists and researchers who give their own views in reading. And the first one is Kenneth Goodman. According to him, reading is a psycholinguistic guessing game. No, it is an active process and it capitalizes on children's prior strengths, past experiences, and knowledge. So, in reading, the child attempts to reconstruct his own knowledge. So, paulit-ulit ito dito, class, itong prior strengths, past experiences, and knowledge. No? So, of course, students or readers would gain better understanding of whatever they are reading if they already experience it, no, in the past. More importantly, readers or active participants of their own learning. Okay, so of course they are the ones who define whatever it is that they are reading. Okay, next we have Noam Chomsky. Okay? According to him, reading to a child aids literacy skills. Okay, so of course, when you say literacy skills, we're also talking about writing, talking about speaking and listening. So, no, increases interest in books and in learning to read. So it enhances background information and sense of story structures, and of course, familiarization with language books. Okay, so reading makes it possible for children, no, makes it possible for them to become, no, become intellectual and at the same time to be more developed in other language skills. Next, we have Don Holdaway. Okay, according to him, children learn to read naturally in the home environment and interaction with parents. So they inherently show signs, no? Show signs that they are ready to learn to read. Okay, so children emulate the reading model set up by the parents. Yes. Next, we have Lev Vygotsky. So, according to him, children's all higher mental functions are internalized social relationship. No, children increase their independent engagement in reading activities through interaction with literate adults. So, ito talaga yung paulit-ulit klasa sa view ni Vygotsky. Social interaction, tapos adult guidance or facilitation. Okay? So, ang sa kanya, no, language and interaction play an important role in the knowledge achievement of the child. Okay? So, if the child does not interact with other people, then the child, no, more likely won't gain knowledge, skills, and values at all. That's according to Lev Vygotsky. No? And the more the child is exposed to various social settings, the more or the deeper his understanding become in reading texts. No? Lastly, we have William H. Teal. So reading is acquired through social interactive and emulative behavior. Social functions and conventions of reading are acquired through interactive literacy events. So kung mapapansin niyo yung class, sa lahat ng mga views nila, paulit-ulit nilang sinasabi na children are active participants, no? Children are active participants of their own learning, no? Children learn better when they actually experience it, no? And when they are exposed to various communicative setting, no? And of course, um, children should be interactive, no? They need to be interactive, and at the same time they need to show enthusiasm. Okay? Sige. So, yes, that ends the discussion of the various views in reading. Now, let's proceed on the theories on reading acquisition. So, there are 4 class, and the first one is the constructivist perspective, no, the constructivist perspective or approach. So the other 3, ito yung i-discuss ko dito sa portion na ito. Okay? So ang first one class, we have behaviorist approach. Okay, so reading is viewed as speech, as what I have mentioned a while ago. So in this, a child must possess both the oral skills and oral vocabulary to read successfully. So remember class, in behaviorism, no, children learn through imitation, no? Children learn through constant practice. Okay? So of course, environment as well plays a vital role in the development of the child. So if the environment is conducive, very stimulating, then there is a higher probability for the child to learn more. However, if the environment is not conducive, then basically it would be difficult for the child to acquire necessary skills. So when we say environment class, we are not only talking about the physical environment. We're also talking about the people, no? The people that surround the child. Okay. So of course, if bakit kailangan class? Bakit kailangan ng oral skills and oral vocabulary to read successfully? Sabi ko nga kanina, no? In behaviorism, children learn through what you call this? Imitation, no? Imitation, mimicry. So ginagaya nila. Meron silang model, no? Meron silang ginagaya. Right? So of course, if there would be a less emphasis on oral and oral vocabulary, then it's not behaviorism. It's not behaviorism at all. Okay? So Sa behaviorism, again, merong drill, no? Constant practice. At in it, teacher, no, gives a lot of activities that would encourage the child to repeat activities many times in order for the child to master, the skills emphasized in the lesson. Okay, let's proceed. We have cognitivist approach. In this, reading is viewed as extracting meaning from the text. So we get information from the text. Okay? So ideas and concepts. Okay? So comprehension is really needed. Analysis as well. No? So a child is viewed as an active constructor of his own reading as he employs his reading skills and strategies which allow him to comprehend the text. Okay? And of course, he uses schema as he interacts with the text. So, the more experiences that he has class, the deeper his understanding, no? The deeper his understanding becomes about the text, no? Again, schema pertains to the child's prior knowledge. Okay, so marami na siyang experiences, no, regarding doon sa binabasa niya. So, more likely, mas madali lang sa kanya na intindihin kung ano yung ipinipahiwatig doon sa text class, no? So, if first time niya na mabasa yung ganung text, tendency, he would spend no greater time in understanding the material. All right. Lastly, we have integrated approach, no? Ano yung meron sa integrated approach? So, it considers class the models in a dynamic structure leading to this one. So, Gicombine yung constructivist, yung behaviorist, plus at yung cognitivist. No? Kasi, para mas maging effective, ito na nga, it utilizes components from each of the models. Alright? So, the end goal is to provide students with the most comprehensive instructional program available in order to gain meaning from a text. Okay? So, sabi ng mga researchers, mas effective if i-combine yung mga existing approaches. Okay? In order to give the child better instruction. Okay. Dirk in 1995 stated that the model applied to each child to speak a primary or secondary language has an impact on the type of reading and writing instruction provided in schools. Yes. So, therefore, class, if a school adopts a more behaviorist view of language acquisition, the curriculum will tend to support these principles versus a more constructivist approach. In other words, the curriculum will be more reflective of a skill-based model with long periods of drill and practice as compared to a school that adopts a more social constructivist model of language acquisition. Now, regardless of the model adopted, reading theorists agree that extensive reading is essential for the development of reading comprehension. Okay, so let's proceed with another language skill, and that is writing. So, how do we acquire, writing? So, early writing acquisition. Alright. Now, the movement from playing with drawing and writing to communicating through written messages is a continuum that reflects the basic theories of emergent literacy. Children do a lot of hypothesis testing, experimenting, inventing to construct what they want to mean through writing. Their writing attempts include invented forms of letters, symbols, words, mixed drawings, and writing invented messages through forms and shapes. So remember class, yung pinakita ko sa inyo ng mga pictures sa first part ng lesson na ito. No? So, nandito na naman si Vygotsky class. No, he asserted that the child's language learning begins in the pre-speech communication between parents and infants. So, no? The moment na nagkakaroon na ng interaction, si mother, kinakausap niya yung baby. So, that's the time that the baby, no? The baby gains knowledge of his environment, gains knowledge of the world. No? So, yan yung mga basic, no? Mga basic na mga knowledge ng isang bata. So, yan yung simula. And of course, habang lumalaki yung bata, no, nagiging better din yung understanding niya, no? Understanding about the world. Specifically, during the time na na-acquire niya na yung first language niya, no? So, mas masasabi natin na yung knowledge niya, yung understanding niya, no, uh, nagiging better din, right? Sige. Now, Gundlach described how early writing is acquired. So let's go on in each of the steps. In each of the step, rather. They noted that children's early literacy experiences are embedded in the familiar situations and real-life experiences of family and community membership. Okay? Second, as a process, early writing development is characterized by children's moving from playfully making marks on paper through communicating message on paper to making texts as artifacts. Okay? So, the moment class na mag-show ng sign, yung toddler, for example, nag-show na yan ng interest na mag-scribble, no? Sa paper, no? Or sa notebook, that's the time class that the child is on the process of acquiring na his writing skill. Alright, children learn the uses of written language before they learn the forms. Okay, of course, di ba no? Number 4, as identified by Deason and Parker, children's writing develops through constant invention and reinvention of the forms of written language. So at first class, no, they are just practicing, no? They are practicing, nagsiscribble from zigzag lines to circles, no? Hanggang sa mas naging identifiable, mas naging legible na yung mga pinagsiscribble ng mga bata, no? So, from that basic attempts, no, unti-unti siyang nagiging more like adults work na. Okay? Children's involvement in written language through typically embedded in social situations and interactions is essentially self-initiated and self-directed. Hardy identified the fifth, no, in writing as in talking, story making as a primary impulse and activity. Lastly, class, children learn about writing by observing more skilled others and by participating with them in literacy events. So when we say more skilled others, we're talking about adults, no, or more knowledgeable peers, no. Moreover, Thiel pointed out that children need to work independently on the functions and forms of writing that they have experienced through interactions with literate others. Okay, so class, that ends our discussion in this lesson. I hope that you gain something, no? And I hope that you do understand. Now, kung may kulang man, I hope that you will initiate further research for better understanding.